The Witcher Part 3 Wild Hunts. Next gen upgrade, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. Let's get into it. First, big ups to CD Projekt Red for hooking your boy up with the review copy of both of these versions so that I can provide an in-depth analysis with gameplay in the background, FPS counters, resolution counters, times I fell asleep because of boring lore counters, and all that good stuff. This game was originally released for the PlayStation 2 back in 2002, and they have now chosen to upgrade it with ray tracing and 4K textures so that you can now see every single solitary individual hair of Geralt's beard. The light bounces off of the water more realistically, and they somehow decided to put in all this effort and give it away for free. I mean, they're not even charging for the product. Like, remember the old adage, perception is reality, right? So you're telling me your product isn't worth anything right out of the gate. Like, at least Sony got some sense knocked into them and decided to start charging for their next-gen upgrades, at least giving the illusion that the product is worth a little bit more, right? Like, at least Call of Duty and Battlefield charged $10 more for the upgraded version, making me feel like the next-gen console versions that I own of each of these games respectively is providing me a superior experience than the people on the last gen systems. Like, come on, man. No wonder they have such a horrible reputation. Anyway, this game was trash back when it released on the Atari, and it's garbage now, 20 some odd years later. I mean, the story is ridiculous. First off, I didn't bother playing parts 1 and parts 2, so they did a horrible job bringing new players up to speed. But that aside, I mean, this is like Fantasy 101, right? I can't believe that this game, even the novels, are lauded as having an original story. Like, this dude legit travels from city to city hunting monsters. That's the whole that's the whole plot. And then they try to inject this melodramatic subplot where he's like watching over this little girl who's not his, but he's like her surrogate father because he's not fulfilled in life. Like, can't you be like a real man and just drown your sorrows in alcohol? That's what the rest of us do, man. Like, come on. Geralt's a terrible protagonist. The voice actor does absolutely horrible job at provoking emotion. The gameplay is your generic, over-the-shoulder, third-person hack-and-slash game. The big thing here is you can use sign language to conjure magic. Like, people again, where the games were doing this 30 years ago. I don't know why this is lauded as being some revolutionary thing. It's really not. It's really not. You can put potions on your blades, and you have to, there's different types of monsters that are weak to different certain elements. Like, come on, man. I played this back on the Atari. Gameplay was deeper in fantasy games back on the Atari than this. Oh, it's got a big open world, and oh, you have a horse named Roach. LOL, the horse has a name of an animal that it's not. Like, come on, man, this is just so tired. I can't believe they milked 3 entries out of this franchise with a 4th on the way. Like, it boggles my mind. It really does. And then, right, so this game didn't end at The Witcher 3 Wilder Hunt. There were 2 DLCs that were released that are lauded as of the date of this recording, December 2022, as being the greatest DLCs to ever released. People honestly say that the DLCs to The Witcher 3 should have won Game of the Year in 2016 because they were better than any other game that came out that year. To that, I can say, once again, CD Projekt Red shows their complete lack of business sense. If you have DLCs that are both as long as an actual game and are going to be as good as an actual game, you need to release them as standalone games. We could have already had The Witcher 4 and The Witcher 5, but CD Projekt Red chose to release them as DLCs. This day and age, if something is good, you don't release it as a DLC, you release it as a standalone product. I mean, just look at God of War Ragnarok, all right? Like, come on, guys. Come on, that game just got Game of the Year nomination. Of course, it didn't win because the game was a sham and Sony didn't pay off the Game Awards like they did in 2018. But the point stands. The Witcher 3 is a catastrophic failure as a video game. It's a catastrophic failure as a piece of fiction. But the biggest lesson we can learn from The Witcher 3 is how not to operate a business. If you have DLCs that are as long and as good as standalone games, release them as sequels. If you're going to put in a bunch of effort to remaster the game with 4K textures and ray tracing, at least charge for the upgrade. It's no wonder your employees are quitting left and right. And by the way, The Witcher 3 will never be. I don't care how much they pretty it up. I don't care how many 4K textures they put on it. And I really don't care about the ray tracing. It'll never be as good as Cyberpunk 2077, the greatest game to ever release.